The Vampire King's signet ring slipped from his finger and struck marble with a sound like a gunshot in his mind, and by the time Ezrael Ashford turned, a girl in a gray uniform was already running after him with it clutched in her palm. He froze. The entire hallway froze. 20 courtiers in silk and velvet stared at the maid as though she'd sprouted wings. "Your Majesty," she said, breathless, holding the ring out on her open hand. "You dropped this." Ezrael looked at her. Really looked. She was small, dark-haired, with eyes the color of wet earth and cheeks flushed from the run. Her uniform was patched at the elbows, her shoes were splitting at the seams. She was nothing, no one. A servant in a house of immortals who would forget her name before the week was out, and she was handing him back the most dangerous object in the known world. He took it slowly, his fingers brushing hers. Her hand was warm, human. "You realize what this is," he said. "A ring, Your Majesty. The ring, the seal of the throne, the key to every ward and vault in this house." His voice was soft, almost lazy, but his pale eyes never left her face. "Worth more than your life 1,000 times over." She blinked. "It's yours, though. And you didn't think to keep it?" The question hung in the air. Around them the courtiers leaned in, listening. This was the kind of moment that got retold for decades. The king's ring, lost and found. Empires had fallen over less. The girl looked confused. "Why would I keep it? It's not mine." Ezrael felt something crack open in his chest. Some old wound he'd forgotten was there. He slipped the ring back onto his finger, where it settled with a weight he'd carried for 3 centuries. "What's your name?" "Persephone Oakes, Your Majesty." "Persephone." He tasted the name, rolled it around like wine. "Well, Persephone Oakes, you've just done something no one in this house has done in a very long time." "What's that?" "Surprised me." He walked away before she could answer, his long white hair streaming behind him like a banner, but he felt her gaze on his back the whole length of the corridor, felt it like sunlight, like burning. In his private study, Ezrael locked the door and leaned against it. His hands were shaking. He looked down at the ring, the black stone carved with runes older than Christianity, older than Rome, the stone that controlled every magical barrier protecting his house, the stone that proved his bloodline, the stone that, in the wrong hands, could let assassins walk straight through his walls. He'd dropped it. In 300 years, he'd never been careless, never slipped, never let his guard down for a single instant because the world was full of people who wanted him dead and the throne empty. But tonight he'd been distracted, thinking about grain shipments and blood tithes and a trade dispute with the Oslo court, and the ring had simply fallen, and a maid had given it back. He poured himself a glass of blood, aged 50 years, and drank it standing by the window. Outside, the city glowed. Toronto at night, all steel and glass and electric light, with his mansion perched at its heart like a spider in a web. The human world rushed past, oblivious. They didn't know that vampires ran half the banks, didn't know that the old stone house on the hill held a court that predated their country by centuries, didn't know that the pale, elegant man they sometimes saw in the back of a limousine was older than their great-great-grandparents and infinitely more dangerous. Ezrael had spent lifetimes learning not to trust. It was the first lesson of immortality. People lied, people schemed, people smiled while sharpening knives behind their backs. He'd been betrayed by allies, by lovers, by his own bloodkin. He'd learned to see the world as a chessboard and every person as a piece in play. And then a girl in a patched uniform handed him back a ring worth kingdoms and looked confused when he asked why. He finished his drink and set the glass down harder than he meant to. It cracked. Blood ran across the windowsill like spilled rubies. "Your Majesty?" He turned. His head of security, a vampire named Soren, stood in the doorway. Soren was old, competent, and suspicious of everything. Ezrael liked him for it. "The maid," Soren said. "Persephone Oakes. What about her?" "She's being questioned." Ezrael went very still. "By whom?" "The council. They want to know how she came to be holding your ring. They're concerned about infiltration." Of course they were. The council saw threats in every shadow, conspiracies in every coincidence. They'd been predicting his assassination for decades. Sometimes Ezrael thought they were disappointed it hadn't happened yet. "Tell them to stop," he said. Soren hesitated. "Your Majesty, protocol requires—" "I don't care what protocol requires. The girl found my ring and returned it. That's the end of the matter." "With respect, sire, we don't know that. She could be working for—" "She's not working for anyone." Ezrael crossed the room in 2 strides, fast enough that even Soren stepped back. "She's a maid, a human. She saw something on the floor, picked it up, and gave it back. It's called honesty. I realize that's a foreign concept in this house." Soren's jaw tightened. "The council won't accept that. The council doesn't have a choice." Ezrael smiled, showing teeth. "I'm the king. Tell them the matter is closed, and tell them that if anyone lays a hand on Persephone Oakes, I'll take their head myself." He meant it. Soren knew he meant it. After a long moment, Soren bowed and left. Ezrael stood alone in his study and wondered what the hell he was doing. 3 nights later, he found himself walking the servant corridors. He told himself it was an inspection. Kings inspected their holdings. It was normal, expected. The fact that he'd never bothered before was irrelevant. The servant quarters were in the mansion's oldest wing, where the ceilings were lower and the walls still showed their original stone. Maids and footmen and kitchen workers moved through the halls with the quiet efficiency of people who knew they were invisible. They saw Ezrael and scattered like birds, all except one. Persephone was carrying a stack of linen so high she had to peer around them to see. She nearly walked straight into him, stopped just in time, and made a sound of alarm as the whole pile swayed. Ezrael caught the top half before it fell. "Steady, Your Majesty." She tried to curtsy and almost dropped the rest. "I'm so sorry I didn't see clearly." He looked at the mountain of sheets. "Is this a one-person job?" "It is now. Marie's sick, and Jenna's covering the West Wing, so I'm doing the linens myself." "How many rooms?" 43, Your Majesty." He raised an eyebrow. "That seems excessive." "It's a very large house. I meant for one person." He plucked the linens from her arms and held them easily. "Show me where these go." She stared at him. What?" "The linens. Where do they go?" "Your Majesty, you don't have to." "I'm aware of what I have to do. I'm choosing to do this. Where do they go?" She looked like she wanted to argue, but something in his face stopped her. "The 3rd floor linen closet," she said quietly. They walked together through the halls. Ezrael carried the sheets. Persephone walked beside him in stunned silence, and every person they passed stopped and stared. Whispers followed them like a wake. "They're going to talk about this," Persephone said. "They talk about everything. It's their primary occupation." "Yes, but you're the king." "I'm aware. And I'm a maid. Also aware." He glanced at her. "Does that bother you?" "Does what bother me?" "That I'm here, carrying your linens, presumably destroying your reputation." She was quiet for a moment. "I don't have much of a reputation to destroy." "Everyone has a reputation. It's one of humanity's more tedious inventions." They reached the linen closet. He set the sheets down on the shelving. "Where are you from, Persephone Oakes?" "Hamilton, Your Majesty. About an hour from here." "Family?" "No, Your Majesty." "None?" "My mother died when I was 16. I've been on my own since then." He heard what she didn't say. No father in the picture, no siblings, no safety net. Just a girl alone in a city that didn't care if she lived or died. "How old are you now?" 22. So young. He remembered being that young, back when the world was lit by candles and he still believed in things like honor and loyalty. It felt like someone else's life. "Why did you take this job?" he asked. She folded a sheet, her hands quick and practiced. "Because it pays. Because I get a room and meals. Because it's better than the factory." "You worked in a factory?" "For 3 years. Textile manufacturing. 12 hours a day, 6 days a week." She smoothed the sheet flat. "This is better." "Even though you work for monsters?" Her hand stilled. She looked up at him, and her eyes were steady. You're not monsters. We drink blood. So do mosquitoes. Doesn't make them monsters. Despite himself, Ezrael laughed. It surprised them both. He couldn't remember the last time he'd laughed at something that wasn't cruel or bitter. That's a refreshing perspective. Is it true you can't go in the sun? She asked. Yes. Does it hurt? Like burning alive from the inside out. She flinched. I'm sorry. Why? You didn't create the sun. I know, but... She folded another sheet. It seems lonely, being awake only at night. It is. The admission slipped out before he could stop it. He didn't talk about things like this, didn't show weakness, didn't reveal gaps in his armor, but something about her made him careless. Very lonely. She looked at him, really looked at him, and for a moment he thought she saw him. Not the king, not the vampire, not the 300-year-old predator in an expensive suit. Just him. Just Ezrael, who'd been alone so long he'd forgotten what warmth felt like. I should finish my rounds, she said softly. Of course. He stepped back, putting distance between them. I'll leave you to it. He made it 3 steps before he turned back. Persephone. Your Majesty? Thank you for returning the ring. She smiled. It was a small smile, nothing dramatic, but it hit him like a blow. You already thanked me. Did I? 3 nights ago, in the hallway. Then consider this a second thank you. You don't have to keep thanking me for doing the right thing. In my experience, Ezrael said, the right thing is rare enough to deserve repeated thanks. He left before she could answer, but her smile followed him all the way back to his chambers. The council met in a room lined with portraits of dead kings. Ezrael sat at the head of the table and listened to them argue with the patience of someone who'd sat through centuries of council meetings and knew they were all the same. Security breach of the highest order. Complete background check on the girl. Too convenient to be coincidence. Ezrael let them talk. They needed to feel heard. It was part of managing immortals. Give them enough rope to hang themselves with words, then cut them down before they got too entangled. Finally, he raised a hand. Silence fell. The girl stays, he said. Lord Theron, the oldest of the counselors, leaned forward. Theron had white hair to his waist and eyes like chips of ice. He'd been ancient when Ezrael was born. Your Majesty, we must consider, I have considered, the matter is closed. She had the ring, which she returned. After how long? Long enough to make a copy of the seal? Long enough to map its enchantments? She's human, Theron. She doesn't know what enchantments are. Or so she claims. Theron's fingers drummed the table. Your Majesty, I have lived a long time. I have seen many schemes, and I have learned that the most dangerous ones come dressed in innocence. Ezrael met his eyes. Are you calling me naive? I'm calling you trusting, which is worse. The room went cold. No one spoke to the king that way. No one questioned his judgment, not in open council, not where others could hear. It was a challenge, subtle but unmistakable. Ezrael smiled. Careful, old friend. Someone has to be, since you've apparently forgotten how. Theron stood. The ring is the key to everything. Our defenses, our vaults, our survival. If it falls into enemy hands, it won't. You can't know that. I can, because I'm keeping it very close. Ezrael touched the ring on his finger. The girl is not a threat. Drop this. And if I refuse... The temperature dropped another 10 degrees. Frost crept across the windows. The other counselors went very still. Then, you're welcome to challenge me for the throne, Ezrael said pleasantly. We can settle it the old way. First blood or last breath, your choice. Theron stared at him. They both knew how that fight would end. Ezrael was young by vampire standards, but he was strong and he'd killed challengers before. Theron was ancient and wise, but wisdom didn't win duels. After a long moment, Theron sat down. As you wish, your Majesty. Good. Ezrael stood. Now if we're done questioning my judgment, I have actual business to attend to. The Paris court is asking for a trade agreement. The Berlin vampires want permission to expand their territory, and someone needs to deal with the rogue in Montreal who's been leaving bodies where humans can find them. I suggest we focus on problems that actually exist." He left them there, still silent, still watching. In the hallway, Soren fell into step beside him. "That was unwise," Soren said. "Probably. Theron has allies. If you make an enemy of him, Theron's been looking for an excuse to challenge me for 50 years. Let him try." Ezrael adjusted his cuffs. "Did you run the background check on Persephone?" "Yes. And? She's exactly what she appears to be. Born in Hamilton, mother died of cancer 6 years ago, worked in a textile factory until she took this job 8 months ago. No criminal record, no suspicious associations, no connection to any vampire court or faction." Soren paused. "She's nobody, sire." "Good. Good? I like nobody. Nobody's refreshing." Ezrael stopped at a window and looked out at the city. "Everyone in this house wants something from me. Power, favor, protection, blood. Everyone has an agenda. Everyone's playing a game." He touched the ring. "And then a girl who has nothing gives me back the one thing worth taking. It's suspicious," Soren finished. "I was going to say remarkable." Soren was quiet for a moment. "You like her? Don't be absurd. You carried her linens." "I was being polite." "You're never polite. You're efficient. There's a difference." Soren studied him. "When was the last time you spent time with someone who didn't want something from you?" Ezrael didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because the truth was, he didn't remember. Centuries of courtiers and sycophants and lovers who saw him as a prize to be won or a stepping stone to power. Centuries of careful distance, of never letting anyone close enough to hurt him. And now, a maid with patched elbows and honest eyes had walked through his defenses like they were made of paper. "Keep an eye on her," he said finally. "I already am." "Not like that. I mean..." He struggled for the words. "Make sure she's safe. Make sure no one bothers her. The council, the other servants, anyone. If someone gives her trouble, I want to know about it." Soren's expression shifted. "Your Majesty, just do it. As you wish." Soren hesitated. "For what it's worth, I think you're making a mistake. But I hope I'm wrong." So did Ezrael. He started seeing her everywhere, not on purpose. The mansion was enormous, and Persephone was one maid among dozens, but somehow she was always there, polishing banisters when he passed, carrying trays in the hallways, cleaning windows in rooms he happened to walk through. At first he thought it was coincidence. Then he wondered if she was following him. Then he realized the truth. He was unconsciously tracking her movements, adjusting his path to intersect with hers. It was pathetic. It was also irresistible. "Your Majesty," she said, curtsying when he found her in the library. She was dusting the shelves, standing on a ladder that looked distinctly unsafe. "That ladder's going to collapse," he said. "It's held up for 8 months so far." "That's not reassuring." He crossed the room and held the ladder steady. "Continue." She looked down at him, surprised. "You don't have to." "We've had this conversation. I'm aware of what I have to do. Dust your shelves." A smile tugged at her mouth. She turned back to the books, her cloth moving in careful circles. "Do you read all of these?" "Most of them. I've had a lot of time." "What's your favorite?" No one had ever asked him that. "Why do you want to know?" "I'm curious. You're old, right? You've read things I've never heard of. I want to know what you like." He considered. "Poetry, mostly. Donne, Marvel, Keats, things that try to capture beauty before it fades." "That's sad. Is it?" "A little. It sounds like you're trying to hold on to something that's already gone." She was more perceptive than he'd expected. "Maybe I am." She moved to the next shelf. Her uniform sleeves slipped, revealing a bruise on her forearm. Dark purple, shaped like fingers. Ezrael's vision went red. "What's that?" "What's what?" "Your arm." She glanced down and pulled the sleeve back quickly. "Nothing. I bumped into something." "Persephone." The way he said her name made her freeze. She looked at him, and whatever she saw in his face made her eyes go wide. "Who touched you?" His voice was very soft. "No one. Really, don't lie to me." She bit her lip. "It's not a big deal." "Who touched you?" A long silence. Then, quietly, "One of the courtiers, Lord Matthias. He wanted his chambers cleaned a certain way, and when I didn't do it fast enough, he grabbed me." Matthias, a minor noble from the Vienna court, visiting for the season. Arrogant, entitled, the kind of vampire who saw humans as toys. "Did he hurt you anywhere else?" Ezrael asked. "No, just the arm, and he didn't mean to hurt me, he was just making a point." I was going to say impatient. "It's the same thing." Ezrael let go of the ladder and stepped back. "Thank you for telling me." "You're not going to do anything, are you?" She looked worried. "Because it's really not worth making trouble over." He smiled. It was not a nice smile. "Don't worry. I'll be very discreet." He found Matthias in the sitting room, drinking wine and playing cards with a group of visiting vampires. Matthias was young, blonde, and handsome in the way of aristocrats who'd never worked a day in their lives. He looked up when Ezrael entered and immediately rose. "Your Majesty, we weren't expecting—" Ezrael grabbed him by the throat and slammed him against the wall hard enough to crack the plaster. The room went silent. Cards fluttered to the floor. "You touched one of my servants," Ezrael said conversationally. Matthias made a choking sound. It was nothing. Show me your hand, the one you grabbed her with." "Your Majesty, please, I didn't mean—" "Your hand, now." Matthias held out his right hand. It was shaking. Ezrael took it almost gently, turned it over, and broke 3 fingers with quick, precise snaps. Matthias screamed. "The next time you touch what's mine," Ezrael said quietly, "I'll take the whole hand. Am I understood?" Yes, Your Majesty, I'm sorry. Ezrael dropped him. Matthias collapsed, cradling his hand, tears streaking his face. "You're leaving," Ezrael told him. "Tonight. Go back to Vienna and tell your master that his people aren't welcome here anymore. But the treaty is void. Get out of my house." Matthias fled. The other vampires sat frozen, staring at their king. Ezrael looked at them, and they all suddenly found reasons to be elsewhere. Soren appeared in the doorway. "That was subtle. I don't feel subtle. The Vienna court will protest. Let them. I don't negotiate with people who abuse my staff." Ezrael straightened his jacket. "Make sure Matthias is gone within the hour, and spread the word. Anyone who lays a hand on Persephone Oakes answers to me personally. The council's going to say you're being irrational. The council can say whatever they like." Ezrael walked past him. "I'm the king. I don't have to be rational." But he did have to be careful. He was falling for her. It was obvious, undeniable, and incredibly dangerous. She was human, fragile. She'd be dead in 60 years while he'd barely aged. And even if she lived, she was a servant in his house, with no power and no protection except what he gave her. Loving him would destroy her life. The court would never accept her. His enemies would use her against him. It was selfish to pursue this. Selfish and stupid and doomed. He pursued it anyway. He found reasons to walk past her, asked her opinion on trivial matters, kept conversations going longer than necessary. It was courting, barely disguised, and the whole mansion noticed. The whispers grew louder, the king and the maid. What was he thinking? Had he lost his mind? Maybe he had. "Your Majesty?" Persephone's voice, soft in the darkness. He'd been standing in the garden, looking at the moon. He turned. She was there in her nightgown and a shawl, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked like something from a painting. "You should be asleep," he said. "So should you. I don't sleep much." "Neither do I." She came to stand beside him. "I heard what you did to Lord Matthias. He deserved worse. You broke his fingers. I could have taken his head. He should be grateful for my restraint." Ezrael looked at her. "Are you angry?" "No, She struggled for words. "No one's ever stood up for me before. Not like that. Then people have failed you. Or I'm not worth standing up for. Don't." The word came out harder than he intended. "Don't say that." Don't even think it. She blinked. Your Majesty. Ezrael. When we're alone, call me Ezrael. I can't do that. Why not? Because you're the king and I'm a maid and there are rules. I make the rules, and I'm telling you to use my name. He stepped closer. Please. She looked up at him, and in her eyes he saw confusion and something else. Something that made his dead heart ache. Ezrael, she whispered. It sounded like a prayer. I need to tell you something, he said, and I need you to listen without interrupting. All right. I like you, more than I should, more than is wise. The words came in a rush, 3 centuries of careful control unraveling. I like the way you talk to me like I'm a person instead of a title. I like that you're honest when everyone else lies. I like that you gave back the ring without thinking twice. I like you, Persephone, and it's terrifying because I haven't liked anyone in so long I've forgotten what it feels like. She stared at him. You barely know me. I know enough. You don't. You know that I'm a maid who returned your ring. That's not enough to build anything on. Then let me know more. Have dinner with me. Talk to me. Let me... He stopped. I'm doing this wrong. There's no right way to do this. You're a vampire king. I'm human. This doesn't work. It could. How? You'll live forever and I'll die. You rule a court of immortals and I clean their floors. What kind of future is that? I don't know, but I know I want to find out. He reached for her hand, slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. Her fingers were small and warm in his. I'm not asking you to decide anything tonight. I'm just asking for a chance. She looked at their joined hands. Everyone's going to hate me. Let them. Your counsel can go to hell. Ezrael. I've spent 300 years doing what's expected, following the rules, being the perfect king. And I'm tired, Persephone. I'm so tired of being alone. His voice cracked. Just give me a chance, please. She was quiet for so long he thought she'd refuse. Then she squeezed his hand. One dinner, he agreed, and we see how it goes. And we see how it goes. She smiled, and the moon seemed brighter. You're probably making a huge mistake. Almost certainly, but it'll be my mistake. He raised her hand to his lips and kissed her knuckles gently. Thank you. I haven't said yes to anything except dinner. I know, but you gave me a chance. That's more than I expected. She left him there in the garden, and Ezrael stood alone under the stars and felt something he hadn't felt in decades. Hope. The dinner was a disaster. Not because of them, because of everyone else. Ezrael had arranged it in one of the private dining rooms, away from the main hall and the curious eyes of the court. But word got out anyway. It always did. And by the time Persephone arrived, nervous in a borrowed dress that actually fit, half the mansion knew the king was dining with a maid. The whispers followed her through the halls like wasps. She met him at the door, and Ezrael felt his breath catch. The dress was simple, dark blue, but it made her eyes luminous. She'd pinned her hair up, revealing the elegant line of her neck. You look beautiful, he said. She blushed. It's borrowed, from one of the other maids. I don't have anything nice enough for... You're beautiful, he repeated. Come in. He'd set the table himself. Candles, flowers, food he'd ordered from the kitchens. Human food, rich and warm, things she'd enjoy. For himself, a glass of blood and nothing else. She sat across from him, clearly uncomfortable. This is too much. It's dinner, with silver and candles and roses. Would you prefer I court you in a broom closet? Despite herself, she laughed. Is that what this is? Courting? Attempting to court. I'm out of practice. He poured her wine. The last time I courted anyone, we used actual horses and people died of plague regularly. That's romantic. It was a different time. He watched her take a sip. Tell me about your mother. The question surprised her. Why? Because you loved her. I can hear it when you mention her. I want to know why. Persephone set down her glass. She was kind. Even when things were hard, even when we didn't have enough money for food, she was kind. She'd give away what little we had to people who needed it more. A sad smile. She would have liked you. I doubt that. Most people find me intimidating. You are intimidating, but you're also kind in your way. You stood up for me. You're having dinner with me when you could be doing anything else. That's kindness. Or selfishness. Maybe I just wanted to spend time with you. That's allowed too. She started eating, and he watched her enjoy the food with an intensity he envied. When had he last enjoyed anything that simply? What about your family? She asked. Dead. Most of them. He swirled his blood. I had a brother once, Lucian. He was older, stronger, smarter. Everyone thought he'd be king, but he fell in love with a human, and it destroyed him. What happened? She died, as humans do, and he couldn't bear it. He walked into the sun 3 days after her funeral. Ezrael's voice was flat. I became king by default, because my brother loved someone too much. Persephone went pale. Ezrael, I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you because you deserve to know what you're getting into. Vampires and humans, it doesn't end well. It never ends well. The lifespan difference alone? There are ways around that, aren't there? Turning? He looked at her sharply. You've been researching. I've been thinking. If we're going to try this, I need to know what's possible. Turning is dangerous, painful. Not everyone survives it. But some do. Yes. Then it's an option. Persephone, I'm not saying I want to do it tomorrow. I'm just saying it's possible. If we decide, if this becomes something real. She met his eyes. I don't want you to push me away because you're afraid I'll die. We all die, Ezrael. Humans, vampires, everyone eventually. The question is whether we live first. He stared at her. You're braver than I am. I'm not brave. I'm just tired of being afraid. She reached across the table and took his hand. One step at a time, remember? We're having dinner. That's all. We don't have to solve immortality tonight. He laced his fingers through hers and felt the warmth of her skin. You're right. I know. It happens occasionally. They talked until the candles burned low, about books and music and the city outside, about her childhood in Hamilton and his memories of a world before electricity. She made him laugh. Actually laugh, deep and genuine, the kind of laughter that felt like sunlight. When he walked her back to her chambers, the whole mansion watched. They're staring, she whispered. Let them. Ezrael. He stopped, turned to face her. I don't care what they think, any of them. You're the first real thing I've had in decades. They can stare all they want. She looked up at him, and for a moment he thought she might kiss him. Wanted her to kiss him, wanted it so badly his hands shook. But she just smiled and said, Good night, Ezrael. Good night, Persephone. He watched her disappear into her room, then walked back to his chambers, feeling lighter than he had in years. The feeling lasted exactly 12 hours. The council called an emergency meeting at sunset the next day. Ezrael knew it was coming. They'd been circling like sharks since the dinner, and now they were moving in for the kill. He took his seat at the head of the table and waited. Theron spoke first. Your Majesty, we need to discuss your relationship with the Maid. There's nothing to discuss. With respect, there is. You had a private dinner with her. You hold her hand. You speak to her with a familiarity that suggests what, Theron? Say it. That you intend to court her seriously, perhaps even bond with her. The room went silent. Bonding was sacred, rare. The vampire equivalent of marriage, binding two souls together for eternity. It hadn't been done in this court for a century. And if I do? Ezrael asked. Then you're a fool. Theron stood. She's human, powerless. She brings nothing to this court. No alliances, no strength, no bloodline worth preserving. Bonding with her would weaken us. Or it would remind you all that we were human once too. We evolved past humanity. That's what makes us superior. Superior. Ezrael's voice was cold. Is that what we are? Superior? We hide in the dark, we feed on the weak, we scheme and backstab and cling to power like it's the only thing that matters. Where's the superiority in that? Your Majesty, I've spent 3 centuries playing your games, Theron, following your rules. And where has it gotten me? I'm alone in a house full of people who'd cut my throat for a taste of power. I trust no one. I care for nothing. I've become exactly what you wanted, a perfect, cold, untouchable king. He stood. And I'm done. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. I like her. I'm going to pursue her. And if you don't approve, you're welcome to challenge me. Another counselor, Lady Seraphine, spoke up. Your Majesty, even if we accept this relationship, there are practical concerns. The girl is a security risk. She's been alone with you. She knows the layout of the mansion. If she were to share that information with the wrong people, she wouldn't. You can't know that. I can. Because she's honest. Because she gave back my ring when she could have sold it for enough money to live on for years. Because she's the only person in this entire house who doesn't want something from me. Ezrael looked around the table. You all think I'm being naive, blinded by emotion. Maybe I am, but I'd rather be naive and happy than paranoid and alone. He walked out before they could respond. Soren caught up with him in the hallway. That went well. I don't want to hear it. They have a point about security. They're looking for excuses. They don't trust her because she's human and poor and not one of them. Or they don't trust her because trust is dangerous. Soren grabbed his arm, forcing Ezrael to stop. Listen to me. I know you care about her. But these people have been alive for centuries. They've seen every kind of betrayal. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe she's exactly what she seems. But maybe they're right to be cautious. Are you saying I should end this? I'm saying be careful. Test her. Make sure. Soren's expression was grim. Because if she betrays you, it won't just break your heart. It'll tear this court apart. Ezrael pulled away. I'll be careful. But he didn't want to be. He wanted to trust, wanted to believe, wanted to fall completely and let her catch him. It was the most dangerous thing he'd ever done. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of stolen moments and careful conversations. He courted her slowly, learning her. Her favorite color was green. She loved thunderstorms. She wanted to travel, but had never left Ontario. She read romance novels in her spare time and dreamed of a life that wasn't spent cleaning other people's houses. He told her things he'd never told anyone, about the weight of the crown, the loneliness of immortality. The way he sometimes stood at the window and watched the sun rise just to feel the heat on his skin before the burning started. She listened. Really listened. Not just waiting for her turn to speak. And when he finished, she'd take his hand and squeeze it gently, and somehow that simple touch said more than words could. He was falling. Completely, irrevocably falling. And then the ring went missing. Ezrael noticed it at sunset. One moment it was on his finger, the next it was gone. He tore his chambers apart looking for it. Nothing. His blood ran cold. The ring didn't just fall off. The enchantments prevented that. Someone had removed it. Someone with skill, with magic, with access to his private rooms. He called Soren immediately. When did you last see it? Soren demanded. This morning. I had it this morning. Who's been in your chambers? No one. I was alone all day. Ezrael's mind raced. Wait. No. Persephone came by. She brought clean linens. Soren's face went hard. And after she left? After she left, I worked on correspondence for an hour. Then I went to meet with the trade delegation from Moscow. When I came back, he looked at his bare finger. It was gone. Your Majesty, don't. Ezrael's voice cracked. Don't say it. We need to search her room. No. Ezrael, if she took it. She didn't. You can't know that. I know her. She wouldn't do this. You've known her for 3 weeks. Soren grabbed his shoulders. I understand you care about her, but we're talking about the security of this entire court. If she has that ring, if she gives it to our enemies, then we're all dead. I know. Ezrael pulled away. Fine, search her room, but I'm coming with you. They found her in the servants' quarters, folding laundry. She looked up when they entered, saw their faces, and went pale. What's wrong? My ring is missing, Ezrael said quietly. We need to search your room. The blood drained from her face. You think I took it. I don't, but the council will insist. Of course. Her voice was hollow. Search it. Search all of it. I have nothing to hide. Soren and 2 guards went through her belongings with brutal efficiency. They tore apart her mattress, emptied her drawers, checked every pocket and seam. Persephone stood against the wall, arms wrapped around herself, not looking at Ezrael. They didn't find the ring. It's not here, Soren said finally. Relief flooded through Ezrael. Then we're done. We're not. We need to question her. I didn't take it, Persephone said. Her voice shook. I would never. You were the last person in his chambers, Soren said. You had access. You had opportunity. I brought linens, that's all. You could have taken the ring and hidden it somewhere else, given it to an accomplice. I don't have accomplices. I don't have anyone. Tears streamed down her face. I gave the ring back the first time because it wasn't mine. Why would I steal it now? Because you've gained his trust, Soren said coldly. Because you knew he wouldn't suspect you. That's enough. Ezrael stepped between them. She's telling the truth. You don't know that. I do. I know it the way I know the sun rises. She didn't take the ring. He turned to Persephone. I believe you. She looked at him with something like heartbreak in her eyes. But they don't. And they never will. I don't care what they think. You should. You're the king. They're your council. And I'm just a maid who's causing you problems. She wiped her eyes. Maybe this was a mistake. Don't say that. It's true, though. We're from different worlds. This was never going to work. Persephone, I think you should go. Both of you. Please. Ezrael wanted to argue, wanted to take her in his arms and promise it would be all right. But her expression stopped him. She needed space, needed time. He left, and it felt like tearing himself in half. The council convened within the hour. Theron looked vindicated. The ring is missing, and the maid was the last person with access, he said. The conclusion is obvious. The conclusion is speculation, Ezrael said. We have no proof. We have circumstance, opportunity, motive. What motive? She has nothing to gain from stealing it. Doesn't she? She could sell it, use it to bargain with our enemies. Or perhaps she's working for someone, a rival court that wants our defenses down. That's absurd. Is it? Your Majesty, I take no pleasure in this, but the girl is a threat. At minimum, she needs to be detained until we find the ring. You mean imprisoned? Call it what you like. She can't be trusted to roam free. Ezrael looked around the table, saw agreement in too many eyes. They wanted this, wanted him to turn on her, to prove he'd choose duty over feeling. No, he said. Your Majesty. I said no. We don't imprison people without proof. That's tyranny. Then what do you suggest? I suggest we actually look for the ring instead of persecuting an innocent woman. Ezrael stood. I want every room searched, every vampire questioned. Someone took that ring and it wasn't Persephone. You're making a mistake, Theron said. Then it's my mistake to make. This meeting is over. He spent the night searching, tore through his chambers, the hallways, the public rooms, asked every servant, every guard, every courtier if they'd seen anything unusual. No one had. The ring had simply vanished. By dawn, he was exhausted and desperate. He stood in his study, staring at nothing, and tried to think. The ring was enchanted. It couldn't be removed without his permission unless someone broke the spell. That required serious magic, old magic, the kind only a powerful vampire would have. His mind turned to the council, to Theron specifically. Theron was old enough to break enchantments, ruthless enough to stage a theft, and he'd been against the relationship from the beginning. But why? What would he gain? The answer hit him like ice water. If the ring was stolen and Persephone was blamed, Ezrael would have to choose the girl or the court, love or duty. And if he chose the girl, the council could claim he was unfit to rule, could challenge him, could take the throne. It was a setup. Ezrael was moving before he'd fully formed the thought. He found Theron in the library, reading by lamplight. "Where is it?" Ezrael demanded. Theron looked up slowly. "Where is what, Your Majesty?" "The ring. You took it." "That's a serious accusation." "It's the truth. You set this up. Took the ring, framed Persephone, made it look like she betrayed me." Theron closed his book. "And why would I do that?" "To force my hand, to make me choose between her and the throne. You think if I pick her you can challenge my rule. If you pick a human maid over the security of this court, you should be challenged." "So you admit it?" "I admit nothing," Theron stood. "But I will say this. You've become weak, sentimental. You care more about a girl you've known for weeks than a court you've ruled for centuries. That's not leadership, that's obsession." "Where's the ring, Theron?" "I don't have it." "You're lying." "Prove it." Theron's smile was cold. "Search my chambers. Question me under oath. You'll find nothing, because I'm very good at what I do." Ezrael's hands clenched. "If you've hurt her, I haven't touched her. Haven't had to. You're destroying yourself perfectly well on your own." Theron walked toward the door, then paused. "A word of advice, Your Majesty. Love is a luxury you can't afford. The sooner you accept that, the better." He left. Ezrael stood alone in the library, shaking with rage. Theron had him trapped. Without proof, he couldn't accuse a senior counselor of theft. But without the ring, he couldn't prove Persephone was innocent. And every hour that passed, the court's suspicion grew. He needed to find that ring. He spent the next 2 days searching, pulled in every favor, questioned every person, used every resource at his disposal. Nothing. The ring had disappeared like smoke. Meanwhile, Persephone was confined to her quarters. Not officially arrested, but not free either. Guards at her door, watching her every move. She didn't fight it, didn't protest, just sat in her small room and waited. Ezrael visited her at midnight on the second day. She looked up when he entered, and his heart broke at the exhaustion in her eyes. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what?" "For this. All of this. You were right. We're from different worlds. I should have left you alone. Don't." Her voice was sharp. "Don't apologize for caring about me. That's not something to be sorry for. But if I'd never approached you, then I'd still be alone. I'd still be invisible. I'd still be just a maid cleaning floors and wondering if this is all my life would ever be." She stood, cross to him. "You made me feel seen, Ezrael. You made me feel important. Don't take that away by regretting it. They think you're a thief. I know. I'm trying to prove them wrong. I know that too." She touched his face gently. "But maybe you should stop." He stared at her. "What?" "This is tearing you apart. The court, the council, the missing ring. You're the king. You have responsibilities, and I'm just—" She swallowed. "I'm not worth this." "Don't say that. Don't ever say that. It's true, though. I'm nobody. I have nothing. I bring nothing to your life except trouble. You bring everything to my life. Joy, warmth, trust. Things I thought I'd lost forever." He took her hands. "I don't care about the court. I don't care about the council. I care about you. That's what scares me." Tears filled her eyes. "Because if you keep choosing me over them, they'll destroy you. They'll take your throne, and I can't live with that. Then what do you want me to do?" "I want you to let me go." The words hit him like a stake through the heart. "No, Ezrael. No, I've spent 300 years letting people go, pushing them away before they could hurt me. I'm not doing it again, not with you. Even if it costs you everything? Even then." He pulled her close, held her tight. "I love you. I didn't plan to. I didn't want to, but I do, and I'm not giving up on this, on us." She sobbed against his chest. "I love you too. That's why I'm trying to protect you." "Then let me protect you back." He tipped her chin up, made her look at him. "We'll find the ring, we'll prove you're innocent, and we'll make them all see what I see, that you're the best thing that's ever happened to me." She kissed him then, desperate and sweet and full of all the things they couldn't say. He kissed her back, pouring everything into it, every lonely year, every moment of doubt, every second of hope. When they broke apart, she was smiling through tears. "You're very dramatic, you know that?" "I've had a lot of practice." He wiped her eyes. "Trust me, please." "I do. That's the problem." He stayed with her until dawn, holding her, talking quietly about nothing important. When he finally left, the guards at her door looked uncomfortable. Good. Let them report back to the council that their king was still in love with the maid. Let them know he wasn't backing down. The ring appeared 3 days later, sitting on Ezrael's desk like it had never been gone. He stared at it for a full minute, not quite believing it was real. Then he picked it up, felt the familiar weight, the cool metal. It was his ring. Definitely his. The enchantments were intact, the seal unbroken. Someone had returned it. Soren arrived within minutes. "Where did you find it?" "I didn't. It was just here, on my desk, like someone left it." Soren's expression darkened. "This is a message." "From who?" "Whoever took it. They're saying they can steal from you whenever they want. Come into your private chambers, take your most valuable possession, and return it at their leisure." He examined the ring. "The enchantments are intact. That means whoever took it has the skill to remove it without triggering the protections and the confidence to give it back. It's Theron. You don't know that." "I do." He all but admitted it. Ezrael slid the ring back onto his finger. "He took it to test me, to see if I'd break under pressure, to see if I'd turn on Persephone. And you didn't." "Of course I didn't." Soren was quiet for a moment. "The council's going to want an explanation. Let them want. I have my ring. That's all that matters." "It's not all that matters. Someone violated your chambers, stole from you, made you look weak in front of the entire court." Soren met his eyes. "You need to respond, strongly, or they'll think you're vulnerable." "I am vulnerable. We all are. That's the point." Ezrael went to the window. Dawn was coming, the sky going gray. "I've spent centuries pretending to be invulnerable, untouchable, and it's made me into someone I don't recognize, someone cold and paranoid and alone. Someone alive. In this world, paranoia keeps you breathing. Maybe, but it doesn't keep you living. There's a difference." He turned. "I'm done pretending. I love Persephone. I'm going to pursue a relationship with her, and if that makes me vulnerable, so be it. The council will never accept her. Then I'll get a new council." Soren stared at him. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. Theron and his allies have been undermining me for years. They don't want a king. They want a puppet, someone they can control." Ezrael's voice hardened. "I'm done playing that role. If you move against them, it'll be civil war. Then let it be war, at least that's honest." He crossed to Soren, put a hand on his shoulder. "I know you're trying to protect me. I appreciate it. But I need you to trust me on this. Persephone is innocent. Theron is guilty. And I'm going to prove it." "How?" "I'm still working on that part." He found Persephone in the garden. She was sitting on a bench, her face turned toward the coming sun, and for a moment he just watched her, memorizing the curve of her cheek, the fall of her hair, storing it away like a treasure. She turned when she heard his footsteps. "Ezrael, the ring's been returned." Her eyes went wide. "What? How?" "Someone left it on my desk. I don't know who." "But that means," hope bloomed in her expression, "that means I'm not a suspect anymore." "You were never a suspect to me. But to them, to the council, they can't accuse me now." He sat beside her, took her hand. "Persephone, there's something you need to understand. Even with the ring back, they're not going to accept you." The hope dimmed. "Because I'm human. Because you're not one of them. Because you challenge their worldview. Because—" He struggled for words. "Because they're afraid. Of me? Of what you represent." Change, vulnerability, the idea that maybe we don't have to be monsters to survive. He squeezed her hand. I'm going to fight for us. I'm going to make them see. But it's not going to be easy. I don't need easy. I just need you. She leaned against him. What happens now? Now I call a council meeting. I tell them the ring is returned, and I make it very clear that you are under my protection, permanently. And if they refuse, they won't, not if they value their positions. His voice was steel. I'm the king. It's time I started acting like it. The council meeting was tense from the moment it began. Ezrael sat at the head of the table, the ring on his finger, and looked at each counselor in turn. The ring has been returned, he said. Persephone Oakes is cleared of all suspicion. Convenient, Theron said. And who returned it? I don't know. You don't find that strange? I find a great many things strange lately. For instance, I find it strange that a ring protected by enchantments I personally created could be removed without triggering alarms. I find it strange that it disappeared from my private chambers, which only a handful of people can access. And I find it extremely strange that it reappeared just as mysteriously as it vanished. Theron's expression didn't change. What are you implying? I'm implying that this was never about Persephone. It was about me, about testing my loyalty, about seeing if I could be manipulated. Ezrael leaned forward. So let me be very clear. I will not turn on Persephone. I will not abandon her to satisfy your paranoia. And if anyone in this room has a problem with that, you're welcome to challenge me right now. Silence. No one moved. Good. Ezrael stood. Persephone Oakes is under my permanent protection. Anyone who threatens her, harms her, or attempts to force her from this house will answer to me directly. Is that understood? Reluctant nods around the table. Furthermore, I'm making some changes to this council. Theron, you're relieved of your position. Theron shot to his feet. You can't do that. I'm the king. I can do whatever I want. Ezrael's smile was cold. You've been a valuable advisor for many years, but recently you've become more interested in controlling me than serving me. That ends now. This is about the girl. This is about trust. You don't have mine anymore. Theron's face twisted. You're making a mistake. Probably, but it's my mistake to make. Ezrael gestured to the door. You have until sunset to clear your chambers. After that, you're no longer welcome in this house. For a moment, he thought Theron would challenge him. Thought it would come to blood right there in the council room. But Theron just laughed, bitter and sharp. You'll regret this, he said. The girl will destroy you, and when she does, don't say I didn't warn you. He left. The rest of the council sat frozen, staring at their king. Anyone else have objections? Ezrael asked pleasantly. No one spoke. Excellent. Meeting adjourned. He found Persephone in her room, pacing. She turned when he entered, eyes wide. I heard shouting. That was Theron. He's been removed from the council. Because of me. Because of him. Because he couldn't accept that I'm capable of making my own decisions. Ezrael crossed to her, took her hands. I need to ask you something, and I need you to think carefully before you answer. All right. Do you want this? Us? A life here in this house with me? Yes. It won't be easy. The court will fight you. Some will never accept you. You'll be constantly judged, constantly watched. I know. And eventually, if we stay together, you'll have to make a choice. Remain human and grow old while I stay young. Or turn and become like me. She swallowed hard. I know that too. So I'm asking, is this what you want? Am I what you want? Because if we do this, there's no going back. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she cupped his face in her hands. Ezrael Ashford, I fell in love with you the night you carried my linens. I didn't plan to. I tried not to. But I did. And yes, this is what I want. You are what I want. For as long as you'll have me. He kissed her, slow and deep and full of promise. When he pulled back, he was smiling. "I'll have you forever if you'll let me. That's a long time. I'm aware." He pressed his forehead to hers. "There's something else. A ceremony. A bonding. It's how vampires marry, I suppose you'd say. It ties our souls together. Makes you part of the court officially." "Part of me. Does it hurt?" "I don't know. I've never done it." "But you want to? With me?" "More than anything." She smiled, and it was like sunrise. "Then yes. Let's do it." The bonding ceremony took place 3 weeks later, in the mansion's private chapel. It was small, intimate. Just Ezrael, Persephone, Soren as witness, and a priest who'd performed bondings for centuries. Persephone wore white, a dress Ezrael had commissioned from the finest tailor in the city. She looked like moonlight, like a dream. Ezrael wore black, traditional, with his family crest at his throat. The ring gleamed on his finger. The priest spoke in Latin, old words that had bound vampires since the Dark Ages. Blood and soul, life and death, forever and always. Ezrael repeated the vows, his voice steady. Persephone repeated them too, not stumbling once. Then came the blood. Ezrael cut his palm with a silver blade. Persephone did the same. They pressed their hands together, letting the blood mix and mingle. Power flooded through him, bright and fierce. He felt her warmth, her courage, her love. Felt it settle into his chest like coming home. She gasped, and he knew she felt it too. The bond, the connection, the way their souls reached for each other and twined together like thread. "It's done," the priest said. Ezrael pulled her close and kissed her as his wife, his bonded, his forever. The chapel bells rang, and somewhere in the city, dawn was breaking. But he didn't care. Because he had her, and she had him, and nothing else mattered. The months that followed were the happiest of Ezrael's long life. Persephone moved into his chambers, learned the ways of the court, met with diplomats and attended functions, and slowly, grudgingly, won over some of the vampires who doubted her. She was smart, charming, and utterly fearless. She didn't back down from challenges, didn't let anyone intimidate her. She was magnificent. She also kept working, refused to give up her duties as a maid, despite Ezrael's protests. "I like the work," she said. "It keeps me grounded, reminds me who I am." "You're the queen consort. You don't have to scrub floors." "I want to. Besides, it drives the council crazy. That's worth the sore knees." He laughed and kissed her, and she kissed him back, and they were happy. But happiness didn't mean the world stopped turning. 6 months after the bonding, Persephone came to him with a question. "I want to turn." He looked up from his desk. "What?" "I want to become a vampire, like you." His heart stuttered. "Persephone, I've been thinking about it for weeks, and I'm sure." She sat across from him. "I love you. I want forever with you, and that means turning. It's dangerous, painful. There's a chance you won't survive. I know, but there's a greater chance I will, and I'm willing to take it. Why now? Because I'm ready. Because I've seen what this world is like. Because I want to stand beside you, not behind you." She reached across the desk, took his hand. "I'm not afraid. I am." His voice cracked. "I can't lose you. You won't. I'm strong. You know I am." He did know. She'd proven it 100 times over. But the thought of her in pain, her body breaking and remaking itself, possibly dying in his arms. "Let me think about it," he said. "How long?" "A few days. Please." She nodded, squeezed his hand, and left him alone with his fear. He spent 3 nights agonizing. Consulted with the oldest vampires in the court. Read every account of turnings he could find. The survival rate was high, about 80%. But that meant 1 in 5 didn't make it. 1 in 5 died screaming. He couldn't risk it. Couldn't bear the thought. But he also couldn't deny her. Couldn't clip her wings because he was afraid. She deserved to choose her own fate. On the 4th night, he found her in the garden sitting under the stars. "I'll do it," he said. "If you're sure, I'll turn you." She stood, crossed to him. "I'm sure. It'll hurt. Badly. For hours, maybe days. I know. And there's a chance. I know." She kissed him softly. "But I trust you, and I trust us. We'll get through it." He held her close, breathing in her scent, memorizing the warmth of her human body. "When? Tomorrow, before I lose my nerve. Tomorrow. So soon. But maybe that was better. Less time to think, less time to second guess." "All right," he whispered. "Tomorrow." They prepared carefully, cleared his chambers, brought in supplies. Soren stood by as witness and guard. The court physician, an ancient vampire named Isolde, oversaw the process. Persephone lay on the bed, calm and composed. Ezrael sat beside her, holding her hand. "Last chance to back out," he said. "Not a chance." She smiled. "I love you. I love you too. So much." He kissed her. Then he bit her neck, sinking his fangs deep, and began the process of draining her blood. Slowly, carefully, taking just enough to bring her to the edge of death without pushing her over. She didn't scream, didn't fight, just held his hand and breathed through it. When her pulse was barely a whisper, he cut his wrist and held it to her mouth. "Drink." She did. Her lips closed around the wound, and she drank his blood like it was water in a desert. The bond between them flared, bright and burning, and he felt her start to change. Her body convulsed, her back arched, and then she screamed. It was the worst sound he'd ever heard, raw and broken and full of agony. He held her through it, whispering reassurances, even as she thrashed and clawed and begged him to make it stop. "I'm here," he said over and over. "I'm here. You're safe. I'm here." Hours passed. Her body broke and remade itself. Bones shifted. Organs changed. Her heart stopped, then started again, slower, stronger. Her humanity burned away, and in its place, something new emerged. Finally, as dawn broke outside, she went still. Ezrael held his breath. Persephone. Her eyes opened. They were different, brighter, clearer, the color of amber in firelight. "Ezrael," she whispered. Relief flooded through him so intensely he nearly wept. "You're all right. You made it." "I feel different." "You are different. You're like me now." She sat up slowly, testing her body. "Everything's sharper, clearer. I can hear your heartbeat, smell blood from the kitchens." She looked at him, and her new eyes were full of wonder. "Is this what it's always like for you?" "Yes. It's beautiful." He pulled her into his arms and held her, feeling the new strength in her, the immortal resilience. She'd survived. She was his. Forever. "Welcome to eternity," he whispered. She laughed, and it was the most beautiful sound in the world. The court accepted her fully after the turning. She was one of them now, not human, not weak, not temporary. She had power, immortality, a place at Ezrael's side that no one could question. She flourished, learned to control her new abilities, took on responsibilities in the court, became a queen in truth, not just in title. And Ezrael, for the first time in 3 centuries, was not alone. They ruled together, made decisions together, faced challenges together, and when the nights grew long and the weight of immortality pressed down, they had each other. 5 years after her turning, the court held a ceremony to officially recognize her. Ezrael stood before the assembled vampires, Persephone at his side, and presented her with a ring. Not the seal of the throne. Something else. A new ring, forged specifically for her. "This is the seal of the queen consort," he said, sliding it onto her finger. "It grants you authority equal to mine. It opens every door. It commands every vampire in this court, and it symbolizes my trust in you, complete and absolute." She looked at the ring, then at him, and her eyes shone with unshed tears. "Ezrael, you gave back my ring when you could have kept it. You trusted me when no one else did. You chose this life, chose me, and made me believe in things I thought I'd lost." He took her hand. I trust you with my heart, with my throne, with everything I am, and I wanted everyone to see it." The court applauded, some reluctantly, some genuinely, but they all saw. The king had chosen, and his choice was final. That night, alone in their chambers, Persephone traced the new ring with her fingers. "I never thought I'd end up here," she said. "A queen, immortal, ruling beside you. Regrets? Not a single one." She kissed him. "I love you. I love this life. I love us." "So do I." He pulled her close, held her tight. "You know what the best part is?" "What?" "We have forever to figure out what comes next." She smiled against his chest. "Forever sounds perfect." And it was. The years passed in a blur of contentment. Decades, then centuries. The world changed around them. Technology advanced, cities grew, but they remained. Constant and together. They faced challenges, of course. Rival courts that needed to be negotiated with, political upheavals, the occasional assassination attempt. But they faced them together, and that made all the difference. Persephone became known throughout the vampire world as the queen who'd been human. The maid who'd returned the ring and won the king's heart. Her story spread, became legend, proof that love could cross any divide. And Ezrael, who'd spent so long trusting no one, learned to trust again. Not blindly, not foolishly, but genuinely. Persephone had taught him that. 300 years after their bonding, they stood together in the garden where he'd first confessed his feelings. The mansion was the same, the city was different, but they were still there, still together. "Do you ever regret it?" Persephone asked. "Taking a chance on me?" "Never." "You?" "Never." She leaned against him. "I gave back a ring and got forever. Best trade I ever made." He laughed and kissed her, and the stars shone above them like blessings. The vampire king had never trusted a soul, until a poor maid handed back his dropped ring and taught him what trust really meant, what love really meant, what forever really meant, and they lived it, together, always.